Hello, ladies. How's it going? Can you guys hear me? Let me adjust for a second. Can you guys hear me? Let me see. Yes. All right. Hello. Like this video. Hey. Dang, two good lives happening at the same time. Who else is live? I really don't try to schedule lives at the same time. um, Hold on. How's it going, ladies? I haven't went live in a while, actually, since like last week. That's because I went out of town. I was in New York for the weekend. New York. And it was so fun. Wow. Like, why didn't y'all tell me that the men in New York are just like super aggressive, like just really in your face? Because I'm from the West Coast and men out here are just not like that. But New York was so fun. Hashtag Black Woman is live. Yeah, I saw her. I love her channel. I'm gonna have to catch the replay, but we won't be on long. Hey, Yolanda. So I'm just gonna hop right into it, ladies. If you have been in these YouTube streets, if you haven't been living under a rock, then you know that the New York Post made an article or posted a opinion piece by Ralph Richard Banks, who wrote the book Is Marriage for White People? Very, very bold um, article, right? And the article said, why more Black women should consider marrying white men. Let me post it really quick. Well, I guess I can just share my screen. Hold on. So there's been like a lot of a lot of ladies have already spoken on this, so I'm not gonna like describe it to y'all and all of that jazz, but a lot of men have spoken on this too. And they are upset, honey. Like they are not happy about this this article coming out. They're not happy about this at all. Like not at all. Right? There we go. Why more Black women should consider marrying white men. Now, when I first saw this, first of all, I was shocked. Shocked that the New York Post published this op-ed piece. Like, are they for real? And they kept it up. Like, they actually kept it on. So wow, like there was so much that had to be said. There was so much that had to be said about this article, especially like on Twitter. They had a field day with this. A lot of people were saying that this is a agenda, to get rid of the Black family, to get rid of the Black man, yada yada, all that stuff, right? But really, after I read the article, listened to some commentaries on it from the other ladies on YouTube, and shared it with like some of my girlfriends, reading it, he was just stating the facts, right? Like, I don't understand why there's so many people upset, because it's not, I heard a lot of what the men had to say, but it wasn't just them. There was a significant number of other Black women who were very upset and flat out disgusted with this article coming out. Personally, of course, like my man is white. So, of course, like I'm in full agreement with what Ralph Richard Banks said in this article. I have not read his book yet, it's on my Kindle. I only read like a few pages. So, I definitely plan to finish it very, very soon. However, I was kind of shocked that they posted this. What I don't want, if I had one critique, right? What I don't want to start happening is the troubles of Black women's dating lives starts becoming this like science or this study that has to be broadcasted for the world to see. I think if Black women are just left to decide what we want to do and stay within our own spaces and talk about this is much more safe than having it broadcasted and to the whole world, literally. Um, because you just don't want to attract the wrong type of crowd, and you don't want to send the wrong message or send the right message, but to the wrong people. Either way, I hope not a lot of articles like this continue to get published because I just don't think Black women need this kind of attention as far as who we should be with. And I've seen some feedback from non Black people, and they don't understand the point of this article either. They just think women should date whoever they want. So they weren't mad at it, but they also were questioning why are Black women singled out. And I could definitely understand why they would ask that question because I think Black women should not have to see ourselves as like this crazy different group, that we are still a group of women like other groups of women, and we should be free to decide and discuss how we want to do things, how we want to move within our own personal spaces instead of having it broadcasted everywhere. So that's the only critique I have for this article being posted. However, I am happy that things like this are just at least coming out and reassuring Black women that we are not crazy, that the things that we experience are are true. They are quantified, they're in data, they're being researched, and solutions are being brought up, not just by us and for us, but by other people that are professionals telling us what we need to do moving forward so that we can further achieve the life that we desire. So, I'm sure you guys have probably read this article already, so I'm not going to read it. A lot of people are saying that they put Kamala Harris on here as a Black woman, and she's not Black. She is multiracial, I think, biracial, but she's not Black. So I thought that was interesting. They put her on there and labeled her as a Black woman. Um, but there is a meltdown going on over this article. There is a meltdown going on over this article, right? People are very upset about this. So instead of just talking about the article like literally everyone else has, I'm going to talk about some of the things that have been said in the commentary regarding this article. Some of the questions that have been raised, or some of the ideologies that have been passed around since this article has come out, is if Black women all date out, which is gonna, ultimately leave a lot of Black men single, so they'll be kind of forced to date out because all the Black women dated out. What's going to happen to the Black race? Are we all just going to disappear? Right? So I'm going to show you guys some actual data to answer that question. Another thing that I've been hearing is other than that one, Black women, we're going to look at the study of Black women and their college degrees. A lot of the men are saying, or just, pick me's, all of them, other Black women are saying that it's a lie. Black women actually aren't that successful. Black women aren't that successful as we're making ourselves seem. And that in the article, when Ralph Richard Banks talks about Black women are not very well matched, people are questioning, people that don't agree with this article, they're questioning, well, what is well matched? What does that mean? Like, we have to break that down. So it's just like, all these really weird questions are being raised ever since this article came out. Like, I don't I don't know how you can question what is mismatch. We should all know what mismatched means, right? So that's the talking point they're going to use to make the excuse that just because a black man doesn't have a degree doesn't mean he's not worthy to have love and things like that. And I did see the Dr. Umar video, and I saw some other ladies in this space do commentary on his response video to this article, because he's like King Hotep, right, for black people. And he really wasn't saying much of anything, just a bunch of pandering to the black race, his usual, nothing special. Um, so we're also going to talk about that. What is mismatched for black women, and um, just how many black men don't meet this, because it seems to me that people that were critics of this article, for the life of them, just can't believe that there really aren't enough suitable black men to be husbands. And I'm gonna show you guys also evidence and proof of that. um that there is no evidence that there is evidence to prove that there are not enough black men that are suitable for husbands, for reasons other than them not having a degree. So, because everyone thinks, since this article came out, everyone thinks, oh, I guess a degree equals happiness, and white being with a white guy equals happiness. And the fact of the matter is, no, none of that matters. White degree, that doesn't equal happiness. There are other factors, and I'm going to show those factors through the data um, today. So make sure to like the video if you haven't already. I can drop the link too if anyone wants to come up. Let me see what you guys are saying. Right, the New York Post. Like, I couldn't even believe this myself. It was a major shock. Major shock. Yeah, black women are definitely waking up. When I sent this to my girlfriend, she she was reading it, and she literally told me the same thing, that black women are waking up. There's thousands of us that are catching on. And I believe it's because a lot of black women are, ready for a next chapter in their life, and they're ready to just have better relationships. Relationships that they haven't experienced themselves before, and relationships that they haven't seen growing up. And so they're finding different ways to obtain that, and different places to obtain that. And people are really getting upset. They're really getting upset. Black men as a collective don't really care about their families, and I have a stat to prove this. So another stat that keeps getting thrown around that is a blatant lie is that 54% of black men are single and childless. That is not true. Not true. I don't know. There's nowhere on the internet you will find that statistic. That's something that they just came up with in their head, but it was never something that's reported. The complete opposite is reported. According to the Pew Research Center, 77% of black men that have had children outside of wedlock. All right. So, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm also going to pull that up too. To show you guys that statistic. And I will link all of these studies in the chat. Or I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I guess I can do it in the chat, but like in the description box too. That book has been out for 10 years. Yeah, it's been out for a long time. And, I heard it's a really good book. I heard it's a really, really good book. Yolanda says, I disagree with you. We have been abused by black men for years, and people talking about it let women know that other races do want us. Black men always say nobody desires. I do agree with you on this. I think this is definitely an important perspective that articles like this can make it clear that we are wanted and desired elsewhere. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just hoping at the same time that that doesn't, just turn bad to or get put into the hands of the wrong people is what I mean. But I absolutely stuff like this means that black women are desired elsewhere and that we can go elsewhere even when we have a PhD or we're a judge, which is something the men say is the least desirable, educated and accomplished woman. And this article definitely disproves that by saying that marrying white men, if you have a PhD and you're a corporate black woman on the executive level, you can still find love, but it's going to have to be somewhere where black men don't reside. I mean, it is what it is. So anyway, yes, and his book sales skyrocketed since this article came out. Really? I mean, it makes sense. He made a lot of good points, and he backed everything he set up with data. So it's just really interesting because I was watching another live doing commentary on this, and the people. That's the thing is the critics for this article and overall for Ralph Richard Banks. He is a black male attorney married to a black woman for over 20 years. He is literally the man that the men talk about in the manosphere, like on paper, who have it going on. He is like the man that the men say black women are going to have to compete for, the man that the men say he has a lot of options, right? Because he's a high earning, highly educated black man. And what I love to see the most, well, not the most, but what I just love to see is when black men like him can be honest. They can be honest and say, there are not a lot of black men like me. So if you guys want a man that is more well to do with his head on straight, you're going to have to date out and find somewhere else. And also, here's the stats and the data to back up what I'm saying. So it's like when I was listening to the critics, they had so much to say, man. And he's literally the man that they talk about all these women want, but once he didn't, align with their agenda, now he's problematic. Now he doesn't know what he's talking about. Now he needs to be questioned and now he needs to be doubted. So it's almost like they only want to have black men on their side that are meeting the status, right? Um, that are above average and high earning, highly educated, but only if they don't advocate or are honest with black women. So they're only going to advocate for the high value black man who is, you know, exercising options, who is always putting other races of women over his own, right? Like that's the only type of black man they're going to stand behind. Black men like Ralph Richard Banks, who actually seemingly have some good character to the point where they're willing to put out stuff like this, they're not going to stand behind this man. So it's just funny how they love to switch it up because this is the high value black man that the Manosphere talks about. This is the high value black man that the Manosphere says um, a lot of black women wouldn't qualify for. So, it's just really funny. How What is the name of the song you use in your intro? It's actually part of the streaming program that I use. So I don't have the name. Nope, Umar couldn't debunk anything. Nothing the article said. He couldn't. He couldn't. And apparent well, allegedly, I don't know. Dr. Umar is supposed to have a PhD himself and be a professional. I don't know if that's been debunked or not, whatever. But the fact that he is assuming that Dr. Umar is who he says he is, an actual doctor, a PhD holder, he is looking at another black man's work and trying to disagree with it. And it's just like, as another academic, you should know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was talking in that video like he was not another academic man. Like academic men who's put out pieces like this and stats aren't just going to talk out of their tail. Like they have what they're presenting, they have the things to back it up. Real research. And Ralph Richard Banks is, he's an attorney, but he's also like a researcher too. So in another live I was hearing for the critics, they were like, well, this guy's an attorney. He's not a researcher. He's not, or not a researcher. They said he's not a sociologist. And I'm just like, what? Like, first of all, you don't need to be a sociologist to understand research or to conduct research. Getting a law degree you're also getting a form of a doctorate a degree. A law degree is a juris doctor. It's a doctorate of law. So technically it's a form of a doctorate degree. And to get through law school in general, you have to be very you have to be very smart and on your P's and Q's. To be a law professor at an Ivy League institution, period, you have to be on your P's and Q's. He's what, at Stanford Law, I think, right? Stanford Law is like a top 5 law school. I think like Yale is number 1, Harvard, and then Stanford. Those are like the top 3 or something like that, or top 4, whatever. So you can't be no dummy to work for these institutions and to even have that type of job. So it's just real funny how all the people criticizing him nowhere near any type of professional degree or professional qualifications, but yet had the most to say. That's how you know a lot of people in this space are really in here for the views, for the money, and just to pander because they have no legitimate professional qualifications to debunk anything that real academic professional people say. And when I watched that Dr. Umar video, I was questioning his academic experience. Like, are you really who you say you are? Because you should know better. Like, you should know better than this. Always. Like, you should know better than to question what this man is saying and try to debunk it. Like, I hate that the article says white man. It could have said other races or something. Yeah, I do agree. I think that the emphasis on white men, that's probably another critique I'd have, is the emphasis on white men. Um, there's other races of men. Like when I started dating out personally, my first non-black man that I had was actually Middle Eastern. And then I had a Hispanic man, and then now I'm with my white guy that I'm with right now. So, there's so many other races of men that are out there and available to black women. However, it is a fact that when black women do marry out, the largest number of interracial marriages with black women are with white men. So, I think that's probably why it's an emphasis on white men, because when, black women marry out, white men is like the number one pick. It's the number one choice that black women make. That's why black men are upset, because he also promoted us as desirable. Yeah, child. They cannot stand it. Black men cannot stand it when other races of men find us desirable, but I think it pisses them off even more when another black man not only finds us desirable, but sees us so desirable that anyone is going to want us. Like black men, I'm starting to see that black men do not get along well with other black men who really consider black women just as great or even better than any other woman. And let me tell you something, like for the black men who are saying things, because another critique I heard of this article was a black man saying that, even if black women make it up to these, upper echelon careers, they're still going to have to compete with white women and Latinas to get these surgeons and these other non-black male attorneys, right? So the thing about it is that these other races of men, ladies, they don't see black women the way black men see black women. So black men put non-black woman on a pedestal a lot, but to a non-black man, from what I've seen myself from everywhere, what I've been told, they don't consider their own woman all that either. Like I'm hearing a lot of white men kind of look at white women like regular, and it's really only like black women or Latinas that are special and exotic to them. So they don't see they don't see us as regular the way that black men see black women as regular. We're different to them. So that's already something that will make you stick out compared to white women and Asian women, and Latinas. No shade to those women. I'm just keeping it real. Non-black men will not care about all that competing crap, because when they see a black woman, they see you as different in the first place, which is why you will grasp their attention and already quote unquote be at the top of the competition, chain. But I've made videos on competition. I don't really believe in that crap. I don't believe in competition, because if you want someone, you want them, period. It's no, if someone's making you compete, it's because they don't want you. That's just my personal opinion. Just doesn't make any sense. When men get married, the first thing they say is, or a lot of, or a common thing they all say is, the first time I laid eyes on her, I just knew she was the one. Like, if he knows you're the one, you're the one. You don't have to compete. Like that competing crap is for men who don't know what they want. So yeah, you have to compete, and they have to figure out which one's the best, because they don't know what's the best. That's why you need to compete for them. It's stupid. But I'm not hearing a lot of non-black men who are serious about getting married and finding a wife. I'm not hearing them like emphasize competing. So black men just have this really, really warped ideology on how black women look to non-black men who would actually be with a black woman. I don't think black men understand what goes on in those men's heads the way they think they do. I don't think so. Okay. Right. It seems like people think they are the only other men on the planet. Yeah, there's plenty of men. There's plenty of other men. So it would be nice if the title was why more black women should consider just marrying out. Like I don't know, just marrying other races of men. That would have been a lot more inclusive of just other men and inclusive of what other black women desire, because not every single black woman desires a white man. So that's all I'm saying. Uh, yeah, I don't know who this Theo person is. Yeah, Dr. Umar is scared, won't sleep with you if you laid with a white man, Sir Dusty. I don't understand that, because personally, if I had to, give my opinion, I've heard a lot of other black men say that they're not going to date or mess with a black woman if she's been with another, like just a non-black man. But to be honest, if I'm keeping it really raw and real, you guys don't have to agree. It's okay. This is just my personal opinion. I think that there are certain, everyone kind of already says this anyway, that there's a type of black woman that looks like she would date a white guy. And she, the kind of certain black women kind of have that look. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying there is a look, but this is what I've heard a lot of other people say. So I don't know. I know that if you are a black woman who can attract and be with a non-black man, chances are you probably really have your stuff together, because non-black men have their stuff together. Not my opinion, but according to the data, they have their stuff together a lot more than a lot of black men. So if you're able to stay with these types of men, that is a good sign for you as a black woman, that you clearly have, your things together, and you're in a good place where you're not attracting dusties, you're attracting high quality men. All right? So if you're attracting high quality men and they're not black, and a black man wants to date you and finds out that's what's been going on with you, I don't understand why a black man would be turned off at that. I mean, I'm not trying to put myself in a black man's shoes, but what I'm saying is, like, as a man, if I knew that the girl I'm trying to date has only attracted the best, why wouldn't I want her? Why wouldn't I want to be with her? Like, clearly, she does not attract dusty men. She attracts high quality men. So why wouldn't I? Like, like, so it's just really weird to me how they're saying that, because if a woman is able to attract high quality men, that is a high quality woman. And you're saying you don't want to be with her because what? Like, I don't understand. Umar has no credibility. He collected and stole millions for an invisible school, right? I don't know what's happening with that school. I don't know what is going on. I don't know what is going on with that school. Um, yeah, I don't know who this Theo person is. I'm definitely gonna be like monitoring the chat a lot, because I know that there's gonna be trolls, and yeah. Competing is not an issue. Opening our options is the only option. Exactly. I think that opening your options is imperative. Definitely imperative. Yeah, sorry. I had it scheduled for for a later time. I actually just finished doing an interview with another Black female content creator, so I'm going to be posting that soon. She wanted me on her platform, so I'm excited to share that with y'all. But yeah, I had to like change the times because I wanted to leave time for the interview I did and to go live, so I changed it. Should have been why Black women should stop considering Black men. That would have set them on fire. This that would have set the internet on fire if it was that title. I'm telling you. I mean, it would have. There probably would be some kind of a social media boycott campaign and everything. To be honest, so. Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep this live up as well. I'm gonna keep it up. We're just getting started. I haven't really introduced any of the main information, but if you're just now coming in, like this video, so I'm gonna be responding to some of the critiques I've heard of this article and showing you guys some research and some evidence to disprove and or debunk what has been said in the critics of this article. First thing is, the question of what is going to happen to the Black community if, like, literally everyone dates and marries out. Black women marry out, so that leaves a bunch of single Black men, so they'll probably marry out. Like, what's going to happen to the Black race? Are we going to eliminate ourselves? So I'm going to show you guys actual data and research to answer that question. And then I'm also going to show you guys some more research, because, Ralph Richard Banks mentions in the article that Black women are often paired with mismatched mates, Black men. And the critics were saying that a degree and a white guy means that, Black woman found a good partner. Like, what is Mitch match? Like, let's define that. Like, they had all these stupid things to say to basically imply that just because a Black man doesn't have a degree doesn't mean he wouldn't make a good partner. Well, I'm going to show you guys other things that prove that there are a lot of Black men who aren't suitable for marriage outside of them not having a degree. So, hold on. Right. So I'm going to show you guys that. Yeah, Dr. Umar, like, when I first came across him, I actually, listened to a lot of the things he had to say. Like, this was way before like the kitten heels and Manosphere crap and all that stuff. Because Umar's been around for a long time. I mean, those Manosphere people have as well, but to me, Dr. Umar has been around, like, in my algorithm way longer than Manosphere stuff. So, um and like divestment and BWE stuff as well. So when I first heard him, I was, really like catching on to what he was saying. But child, I definitely woke up. I definitely woke up. And he was on like Breakfast Club. So he was kind of like everywhere and all that stuff. So yeah, I definitely woke up out of that. I just got tired of his blame white people for black people's issues. I was over it. Um he basically said that he knows black men are trash, but black women should just be loyal to them anyway. Exactly. Exactly. Like, there's been so many other black women that have critiqued his video and they were totally spot on that it's no longer about caring about black women. It's just about making sure that black men can have someone to sleep with and they can have um, kids and stuff like that. It's nothing about the black woman actually being cared for. There's no proof that he has a PhD or a doctor. Yeah, some people, because when you get a degree, I guess you can like call the university, or a person can call your university to confirm that you have your degree. Like usually jobs do this and stuff like that when they want to hire you. And people have said that they've tried to call and no one knew what he was. No one knew who this man was or whatever. Like, I don't know. So I don't think he has it doesn't look to me like he has a degree type of thing. This Theo, I think I blocked him. I'm gonna be making sure to block some trolls because um I feel like there's a lot of people in here that are gonna be mad. They going to be mad. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you guys. Where is it on my tabs? Let me go ahead and show you guys some data and we'll just discuss it a little bit about black people, erasing themselves. So I was coming across, or no, how did I first hear about this? I was on another person's video and they were talking about population growth and stuff like that. So they mentioned that, and you guys know like history, like black people are considered the first group of people and all that stuff, or whatever, the oldest group of people, all that. Um so apparently researchers who are studying the world's population and are monitoring it of different countries and all of that, they are projecting that the world by 2100 will be a third African. Yeah, you heard that right. By 2100, a third of the entire world will be black. All right. So let me show you guys this. Because they love to say, oh, we're going to breed ourselves out. Black women are going to ruin us, or whatever the hell they want to say. And I'm here to tell y'all, black people really ain't going nowhere. And I felt like, I don't know why there's just other folks who don't understand this. Can you guys see this? Wait, let me see. All right. So there's a strong chance a third of all people on Earth will be African by 2100. Right? So they're saying that because Africa, the entire continent, has such a young and has a large young population, that is going to be uh the reason why the population growth for Africa is going to skyrocket. So it says the population of Africa is increasing rapidly from an estimated 140 million in 1900. It had grown to a billion by 2010. According to United Nations medium scenario projections, this figure will rise 2.5 billion in 2050 and more than 4 billion in 2100. Today, 1 out of 6 people on Earth live in Africa. These same projections predict that the proportion will be 1 in 4 in 2050 and more than 1 in 3 by 2100. What are the reasons for this rapid growth? Will it continue? Will the African population inevitably quadruple by the end of the century? The reasons for the rapid growth: the population of Africa is increasing because births outnumber deaths 4 to 1. While African mortality is the highest in the world, it has decreased in recent decades, following a pattern already observed on other continents. So, this article is reporting that basically melanated people ain't going nowhere, ladies. So, it's just interesting how the critics, the pick-me's, the black men on this space want to shame black women for dating out and marrying out, and saying that we're going to erase black people. Black people aren't getting erased. We are not getting erased. We will literally be the last ones here. Okay? We were the first ones here on earth. We probably gonna be the last. Okay? If a third of the world is already going to be black by 2100, it's only gonna go up from there. It's only gonna go up from there. Black people aren't going anywhere. They're not. There will always be a melanated person. Always. There will always be a black woman. The black woman isn't going anywhere. Okay? The first will be last. Exactly. No, seriously. We're not going anywhere, guys. It's a bunch of BS that they're saying that if black women were to marry out in droves, just all over the world, black women here in the US and all that, nothing will happen to melanated people. They're not going. Like we've said plenty of times in this space, majority of black women, they want to be with black men that's just like divestors and swirlers. They know they're not the majority. They know that they are a minority group of black women growing, but either way, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because, first of all, there might be a day where there's not even enough non-black men for black women to be with because a third of the world would be black. Oh my God. Fertility decline in this region was expected to begin later than in Asia and Latin America. This indeed. So I wanted to show you guys this because I don't think people know this. I don't think a lot of people know that a third of the entire world will possibly be black by the end of the century. Africa's population will inevitably double by 2050 as a consequence of unstoppable demographic inertia, depending on its speed of economic development in coming years, the improvement in women's education, and the implementation of family planning policies. The population of Africa in 2100 will be 3, 4, 5, or 6 times larger than it is today. So let me show you guys also just the population forecast for Nigeria. So, can you guys see this? So, just this is the population forecast for Nigeria. Let's see. In 2025, they're projected to have 233 million. Now, currently, right now, guys, in the US, we have around 300 million something people right now. And Nigeria is already like within the next 3 years, they're projecting 233 million people alone in Nigeria. All right. Black people ain't going nowhere. Don't fall into this lie or this fear tactic that they're trying to put on you that if you don't procreate with a black man, black people are going to go extinct. Far from the truth. Far from the truth. The motherland is where it started and it's where it's going to end, okay? Other races of people aren't even going to outlast us. And do you guys know? Yeah, 300 what are you guys saying? Yeah, 340. Yeah, something, yeah, 340 million. So Africa is catching up. Nigeria alone is going to be able to catch up to that. So the rest of the world will be black. So are we going to erase the black race? Are black women in particular going to do that? Absolutely not. Not. You will always be able to find a melanated person. Matter of fact, they're going to be everywhere. All right. And let's talk about how it's going to be black people in the US in particular. Let me show you guys this because I don't. This is from the Pew Research Center from last year. I don't even think they know about this. So the Pew Research Center reported key findings about Black America. The Black population in the United States is diverse and growing. A new Pew Research Center analysis of U.S. Census Bureau data explores the demographic characteristics of this population in 2019. Here are key findings from this analysis. All right. So it actually says that the US Black population has grown by 29% since the year 2000. This was back in what is this? This 2019. So it's 22. 2019. The Black population has actually increased. Wow, keep in mind that during the same time period, which like a little under the last 20 years, interracial marriages for Black women have also increased. So, isn't that interesting? Well, interracial marriages for Black women have increased, and also for Black men, we can say the same. Interracial marriages for Black men have increased over this time period as well. So has the overall Black population. Now, what we can say though is how many of these people are really legitimately Black? How do we know there's no biracial Black people marking themselves down as Black? But to assume that all of these people are biracial, that's kind of a reach. I don't think so. I don't think majority of these people are biracial, but there's probably a good chunk of these people that are biracial. But nonetheless, nonetheless, majority of the people that identify as Black are most likely Black, and there has been an increase. So the lies on Black women marrying out going to erase the Black population, not true. We've actually grown with the increase of Black women dating out, with the increase of biracial children. Whoever identifies as Black has grown. They've grown. Self-identified. So these studies can't prove how many people are actually legitimately Black, but it can tell you that for the people who do identify as fully Black, there has been a population increase from 2000 to 2019. Right, exactly. Exactly, Bridget. Black immigrants. Black immigrants also count for this as well. Very good point. Very, very good point. So people from the Caribbean, people from Africa. And I think it actually even says that in this study. It will tell, or was I looking at something else? There was a study, dang it. Oh, okay. So actually there is a study to tell you the difference, like, multiracial Black. So single race non-Hispanic Black people have grown the biggest growth. And then you have a growth in multiracial and a growth in Black Hispanic. So I'm showing you guys all of this because the people who are complaining about Black women erasing the Black population because we're marrying and dating out, number one that needs to be understood amongst all people is that swirlers and divestors and women who simply just date interracially are not the majority of Black women. All right, they're not. Now it's growing. I'll tell you that. More Black women are waking up every day. But the critics that had a lot of things to say about the Ralph Richard Banks article a large portion of them were Black women. So there's still a lot of Black women who want to be with Black men, which for the life of me, I don't understand why these critics have so much to say about the Black women who do not want Black men. Because we're not the majority. There's plenty of Black men who still want, or plenty of Black women, excuse me, who still want Black men. Why come for us? Okay, yeah. So it says here, Bridget was correct. She is correct. The Black population growth stems from both those born in the US and those born abroad. While 90% of the US Black population was born in the US, a number that has risen by 25% since 2000, there has been a more dramatic increase among the foreign born population. More than 4.6 million Black people in the US were born outside of the country as of 2019, meaning that 10% of the Black population was foreign born. This is an increase of nearly 90% from 2000, yada, yada. So I just showed you guys how Africa is going to be a third of the world by 2100. Okay. Do you guys believe that that will include more Africans, or that means that more Africans will be coming to the US by the end of the century? You know, if the US is still freaking here and we don't get bombed or something, right? A third of the world will be Black. These Black people are going to be living everywhere, including the US. So these numbers for the Black population is going to increase exponentially. Exponentially. And it's going to be African people or people from the Caribbean. There will always, what I'm trying to say is, there will always be a Black person you can get with if you want to. Okay? Always. There will always be. All right? Black people aren't going anywhere. So Dr. Umar talking about Black women need to protect their wombs and all this other crap. Complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. There will always be a new Black woman coming from somewhere that these men can date and talk to all they want, if those women even want them. If those women even want them, because African women, they also got their own men. They got African men. So there's that as well. So I think maybe that is where the real fear is coming in. The meltdown, the Black male meltdown, is because they, in one breath, these men talk about how they can get other women from overseas. But then the next breath, they fear Black women into staying with them. And the fact of the matter is those women overseas can have their own men. They can have their own men. I think I said in my last live, a man commented on one of my videos saying that he's not, he won't try to date an American Black woman. He'll just get a Caribbean woman so that he can still have his Black households. But he does not want her to teach the kids anything about her Caribbean heritage. So I was like, okay, so you just want her to be your brown baby carrier? Like, you just want her to be your like, you don't want her to basically be herself in the place that she's going to call home? What woman would settle for that deal when she can stay with her own men, who knows the culture, who knows the heritage, that she can comfortably pass down and be herself around? Like, why would she get with a Black man who only wants her for no other reason than the fact that she's not a Black American woman? Why? Why? Right. Will they even want you? Will these women from out of the country even want you while having their own men? like like that's what I don't understand. Mocha Mama says, I honestly feel that Dr. Banks took on the issue out of concern as a father, mentor, and academic. Can you imagine how many Black women he has seen ruin their lives? Exactly. Exactly. I believe the same. I absolutely believe the same. Ralph Banks wrote that article because, yeah, he has a lot of Black women that he mentors. If he has daughters, or I guess he does have daughters, and he wants the best for them, which is what any father should want. Any father should want. African people mate with their own people. Yes, they do. They do. Isn't it a thing? I'm not African, but isn't it a thing that Africans kind of look at, Black American people in a certain way? You know what I'm saying? So they mate with themselves. An African woman is not going to choose a Black American man, especially one with these demands and these weird internet created set of values. Is it Caribbean? I don't want you to. Exactly. Exactly. So I just had to show you guys this to answer that. A lot of people don't know about the Black population. It has actually increased, and that a third of the entire world is going to be Black by the end of the century. So the question of, is the Black race going to be gone if Black women date out and create other kids? No, it's not going to happen. There will always be Black people. All right. So I'm showing you guys this not to, say that we care and all this stuff, but I'm showing you guys this because there are women who are, still maybe feel like they have this loyalty to the Black race to keep it going. And I'm trying to let those ladies know you don't need to have that loyalty. The Black race will be fine. It will be fine. Like, it's never going away. We were the first here, and we're literally going to be the last people here on this earth. So there will always be a Black woman. There will always be Black men. They're not going nowhere, y'all. And it is what it is. So let me show you guys. What are you guys seeing? And boys. So let me show you guys well, let me show you guys one video. Hopefully you can hear it. Let me stop sharing this. Let me play this video for Ralph Richard Banks that he did.
We have more Black women, right, graduating from college, 2-to-1 to Black men. You throw in incarceration rates, you throw in the unemployment rates, and you're saying there's just not enough Black men.
Well, there are not enough Black men for all of the college-educated Black women in particular that have the type of husbands that they want to have.
The type that they want to have. Now, I put this out, and we had this conversation yesterday, and a lot of people were chiming in, and I decided to ask for questions from viewers. And one of the questions, simply put, is, do Black women deserve better than what Black men have to offer? That seems like a very heavy question there, but is that essentially what it is? Do we not measure up to the quality of Black women right now?
That's really a great way to put it, and I will admit that I usually think about it from the other perspective, yeah, which is that is it fair to ask Black women to sacrifice their own happiness on the altar, as it were, of Black men's struggles? And
what? Okay,
I think not.
What is that?
I think not.
Okay, what's that sacrifice necessarily when we're talking about, and I asked you this question yesterday, is it always marrying down if the person you're marrying doesn't make as much money or have the same level of education? Could be a good guy.
Yeah, he could be a good guy, and lots of relationships work across classes, that's true. But it's also the case that for everyone, not simply for the women, but for the men as well, having a spouse who is matched to you educationally in terms of your outlook, your aspirations, your experiences, that's a positive thing. So it's actually not a great thing for the wife or the husband if they're in a mismatched relationship.
All right, and we know a lot of conversations were started yesterday because of this topic, and I had one of these conversations at my house with Mrs. Holmes, and one of these things that keeps coming up is, how do you, and the word I think my wife used was reprogram, if you will, Black women, because you're suggesting they need to be open to dating outside of their race. But, a lot of Black women just like brothers. They like the Black man.
Right.
So
Right.
if you're just not
Right.
attracted naturally, why have them give up on finding a black man?
Right. That's a great question. And the issue, the way I think of that is that women have been asked to carry a great load. Black women shoulder a lot of the burden, in short, of black men's struggles. And I am asking women to put the burden down. Many women think that they're attracted to black men. They are attracted to black men. But attraction itself is complicated. And one of the things that I discovered in the course of writing this book is that there's a whole host of fears and desires and anxieties that animate black women's attraction to black men.
Okay, and on that though, I got another question from a viewer, Judy, sent in and said, well, it sounds like you're saying, why should black women give up the good fight? You know, you're not telling them to take on a project of fixing a man necessarily, but
All right. So there's a video that I found of him. What did you ladies think of that? I'm going to drop the link. Actually. And he's been going with this message for a while. He's been sharing this message for a while, right? He's kept that same energy all around. And I don't know if he's tuned into like YouTube space or, you know, anything, if he's been seeing what black women have been saying online. I don't know. Like, I don't know what inspired him really to publish this article at the timing that he did. Like, does it not seem a little like, does it seem random to y'all, or does it seem like he's been seeing a lot of the content that black women have been putting out online and decided to talk about this? All right. Rather than partner. Rather than partner with men of other races, many heterosexual black women either don't marry or marry black men with whom they are not especially well matched. Why is this highlighted? What is this? Oh. Oh my God. Do you guys see this article? Do you guys see this article? Did anyone click on the link to this article? So let me show you guys too. Hold on. Let me also show you guys reasons that they're saying black men wouldn't make the best partners for marriage outside of their education. And I'm also going to show you guys proof that that 54% in childless crap is a lie. It's a lie, and I have it right here to show. Okay, but this article right here, child. Now, this was written in 2014. Let me pin this. Child, okay. No Scrubs, the dilemma of modern African American woman. Jesus Christ. And who's this? Who's David Kaufman? Is this a white guy? I think this was a white man who wrote this. No way. No. Is he really? Yes, y'all. This is a white man who wrote this. He is white. The hell? Oh, that's true. His pick is above the article. Okay. So a white man wrote this article. No scrubs, the dilemma of modern dating. Uh, hmm. A worldly, well-educated professional, Nord Nordlinger, should be positioned to choose a partner far more appropriate than a serial criminal like Hassan McFarlane. What? But instead of building a life with an equal, she opted for a man who could destroy the life she so carefully built. Well, it would be easy to blame Nordlinger, yet this dilemma is faced by all too many of her successful African American sisters. Across America, Black girls are up to 50% more likely than Black boys to graduate from high school, report the NAACP and Schott Foundation for Public Education. In college, African American women outnumber men by roughly 2 to 1, notes the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation, and with Black men 6 times more likely to be incarcerated than white men. Wow. Educated Black women like Nordlinger lack the pool of suitable mates their white counterparts take for granted. Yet Black women show little signs of abandoning the race. Indeed, all Indeed, of all U.S. demographic groups, African American women are least likely to date or marry across ethnic lines. Fewer than 10% of Black women have non Black spouses, less than half the number of Black men. But as Ralph Richard Banks explored in his 2011 book, Is Marriage for White People? African American cultural and community leaders also share the blame for limiting Black women's romantic options. Wow. I didn't even read this article, guys, so I'm kind of reading it. All right. So this guy literally writes and debunks what that 54% Black men childless crap keeps getting passed around. It is false. Back in 2014, when this was written, it says right here today 70% of all Black children are born out of wedlock, and Black couples have the highest divorce rates in the nation. Black women seeking successful family lives, Banks suggests, can no longer afford to exclude other races. Cut to the wedded security of Nordingler's boss, Shirlane McCrae. As a former lesbian, McCrae's path to matrimony, sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. Path to matrimony was clearly unconventional, but her choice of a mate, a Caucasian one, helped lead to the happy, successful family that has proven so elusive for Nordlinger. The McCrae slash de Blasio union makes clear. Oh, they're talking about the New York. Wow, yeah, the white guy mayor of New York and his black wife. That's right. Absolutely right. I forgot about them. That's what they're talking about. After all, when you've been gay, resisting Black conventions to marry a white man is hardly radical. Indeed, with choice being the ultimate in female empowerment, marrying de Blasio may actually have been McCrae's most feminist move of all. Only Nordingler can say if she's dating down. What's clear is that women like her are caught by the painful disjuncture between female and African American advancement. So, this sentence right here, only Nordingler can say if she's quote unquote dating down, is exactly what a lot of the critics of the article had to say. They were trying to redefine or define themselves what it means for a Black woman to be quote unquote mismatched with a Black man. They were saying like mismatched is a subjective thing, meaning Black women and Black people can determine that instead of it being determined literally by institutions, systems, data, research, like, what's actually on paper. So what the opposing spaces and the critics were saying is that you can technically on paper be mismatched, but none of that stuff on paper matters. If race is into it, if the connection is strong, right? However, the marriages are still ending in divorce. So it's clear that the things that are on paper that other Black people want to say don't matter, they actually matter. People that make a lot of money are not the highest to divorce compared to people who don't. Actually, they love to say, well, it's not that they love to say it, it's true that majority of the time women file for divorce. But what's interesting is when you break down those divorce statistics, the group of women who are the least likely to file for divorce are women who don't like pay any of the bills. At least like the man is the breadwinner in the home and she doesn't work. Those women, like stay-at-home moms, housewives, or she owns her own business or something, those women are the least likely to divorce their husbands. So when, they want to say that being mismatched is subjective and that the money, the degree, and all that stuff doesn't matter, they're wrong. It does matter. It does play a key role in keeping a marriage together and keeping divorces low in a group. And if you have a lot of Black men that are most likely to go to jail and commit a homicide than they are to get married, those men are not suitable to make good husbands and create good households. So, you know, I titled this live, Can White Men Love Black Women Better? Everyone I believe that love is subjective as well. What works for me in my love life doesn't have to work for the next Black woman or the last Black woman, but what works for me. But in terms of the overall culture of other races of men, my conclusion is yes, I think that other races of men participate in cultures where respect, honor, love, morals, values is at a peak versus the culture in the Black community and the culture that a lot of Black men subscribe to is the opposite. Family life is not a priority. There's, other things are a priority with Black male culture, that is completely different in the culture of white men, Latino men, and Asian men. What are you guys saying? Many Black women in my family got financially destroyed by men who were mixed match. Yeah, it is a real thing. I mean, if you're with a guy who is like not used to certain things or not used to a certain lifestyle, then yes, absolutely. Like he's not going to know he's not going to know how to handle what you bring to the table, or well, I don't want to say what you bring to the table, but more so your lifestyle and how you live and the things you've worked for and the things that you have. He's not going to know how to handle that. He's going to abuse it most likely. It's like giving it, it's like a kid, or not a kid. Well, I don't really have an example, but when people just aren't used to something and they live in scarcity and they finally reach a point of abundance, there's a chance that they may not know how to handle it at first. And there's a chance that they might abuse it because they're not used to it, compared to a man who comes from a family where he was given what he needed. Like there wasn't a lot of struggle. Usually these men can navigate into higher societies and they know how to act. They already have a code, they already know the code, compared to other men who aren't used to that life, who are in it for the first time, who are like a first generation corporate professional or something. It's different, and it makes a difference in your relationships. Right? I feel like they have a lot to say. I feel like they have a lot to say in their archives about stuff like this. A man's suitability to be a husband and father is an objective, universal standard. Only Black women are told that it isn't. I actually agree with this. I agree. I think every person receives love differently, and they receive love in a way that makes them feel their best. But there is a universal moral standard to being a a husband. I would say to even, being a wife. There is a universal standard. And I think the problem with a lot of Black men is that they just either don't meet the standard or they have the means to and simply refuse to. Because one thing that Ralph Richard Banks mentions in his book, of the part that I've read so far, is that the more money a Black man makes, the least likely he is to get married compared to high earning non Black men. It's actually kind of the opposite. The more money a non Black man makes, the more likely he is to get married. And it's the opposite, for Black men. And then you have to think about who are the Black men, um, that are high earning. A lot of them are athletes, right? A lot are in the NFL or in the NBA. They may not meet these high value professional standards, but they are high earning Black men. Entertainers, rappers, and R&B singers that are Black men, and producers and stuff. So those types of lifestyles, being an athlete and being an entertainer, those types of lifestyles don't really support like having a traditional nuclear family. So those lifestyles, those men are kind of on their own, just making money. Some of them can have a family, some, a lot don't though, which is reflected in the data. So let me show you guys this. Where is it? Right here. I think you guys can see this. So this is another study from the Pew Research Center. About fathers, like overall fathers, right? Fatherhood and marriage. Have all these graphs here. Among young and middle-aged men, the likelihood of having a child out of wedlock varies by cohort. Among biological fathers, ages 20 to 24, more than 3/4 have had a child out of wedlock, while this share drops to 36% for fathers ages 35 to 44. It says right here, Black and Hispanic fathers are much more likely to report having had a non-marital birth. Among Black men, 72% have had a child out of wedlock, and 48% have had one in marriage. And among Hispanic men, 59% have had a birth out of wedlock, and 58% have had a birth within marriage. So, um, you know, oh, and it says right here. Can you guys see this, or is it kind of... Black biological fathers are far less likely than white biological fathers to be married to the mother of their children. Some 36% of Blacks are in this situation, compared with 59% of whites. Among Hispanic biological fathers, this share is 50%. So, says right here, Black biological fathers are far less likely than white biological fathers to be married to the mother of their children. Some 36% of Blacks are in the situation, compared to 59% of whites, meaning marriage. Among Hispanic biological fathers, this share is 50%. So this is saying 36% of Blacks, of the Black fathers, are biologically married to the mother of the kids, and then the other 70 whatever percent of Black fathers are not. And down here, share of fathers living apart from children. This graph, we see by race and ethnicity percentage of Black men with children 18 or younger is 44%. Of Black men are living apart from their kids under the age of 18. So how is that possible? How can 44% of Black fathers living away from their kids equal, or how can 54% of Black men being single and childless, how can that make sense when 44% of Black fathers live away from their kids? This is why I said before that childless also means living without children, living without kids. And Black men having a lot of children out of wedlock, paired up with women who are professionals and may not have any kids out of wedlock, they are mismatched with those women. They are mismatched. So I don't know where they're getting this 54% single and childless, because the critics are saying, that Ralph Richard Banks is wrong in that article, that, Black men are over half of Black men are single and childless. There's plenty that are suitable for marriage. That is not true. That is not true. They are not suitable for marriage, with or without degrees. And let me see here. And it's also interesting. Black biological fathers are less likely than white biological fathers to be married to the mother of their kids. So the question, can white men love Black women better? Well, since a lot of people tend to equate love and commitment, like, hand in hand together. If white biological fathers are most likely to commit and be married to the mothers of their children than Black men, I would use this piece of evidence alone to answer the question as yes. For the Black woman that want to date out and you're tired of what you've been experiencing, um, you can. It is proven by stats and this data here that you can receive better once you do, which is why Ralph Richard Banks writing this article is very valid. It is very valid. This, what I showed you guys, was from the Pew Research Center. Okay? Pew Research Center. You as a woman, and really no matter your color, are most likely to be a married mother, um, being with a white man than you are with a Black man. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. All right. And he shared another piece of data in this article. Or maybe he didn't share it, but I was able to find it anyway. All right. And what is this? Okay, now here is the education piece. Here's the education piece of it all, that they were talking about and just trying to discredit, saying that, the numbers aren't what they are, Black women aren't as educated, um, them finding options in other men with their education is going to be harder because they're now going to have to, Black women are now going to have to compete with white, Latina, and Asian women, right? So that's where that piece of the criticism came in. So I have the study here. Black women are earning more college degrees, but that alone won't close the race gaps. This was somewhere in the article and I was able to click on it, but okay. So this article talks a lot about the race gap that has to do with Black women in school. There has been a significant increase in rates of 4-year college completion among Black Americans, especially women, but rates among whites have increased just as rapidly, again, especially among women. Almost half the white, almost half, 44.7%. The white women aged 25 to 35 in 2015 have completed 4 years of college. For Black men, the rate is just 17.2%. 17.2%. So when they talk about competing, right? When they talk about competing for this Black man who is super successful and, has defied the odds, they're talking about y'all competing for 17.2% rate. 17.2%. This is what they're talking about. All right. And then you have to question, do these Black men even want Black women? Do these Black men even find the everyday Black woman attractive? On top of all these white women that are around them too, right? So the competition for this small number of Black men is really, it's kind of pointless because Black women outnumber Black men in school anyway, and white men outnumber Black women and Black men in school. So you're better off just shooting for white men, Hispanic, Asian men, especially. I know Asian men are, I think they're technically kind of on the rise, even above white men now, if I'm not mistaken. Um, you are better off selecting from those types of men before you dwindle your options down to just 17.2% of the Black men in school. It would make no sense. If you're a Black woman who's in college and you're actually, or you are, you agree that Black women should try to find a mate in college, it would make no sense. It would make no sense for a Black woman to not pay any attention to all the white, Asian, and Latino men in college that probably make up almost 5 times as much as the 17%. It would make no sense for those Black women to ignore those guys, to only not only choose but have to compete for the 17.2% of Black men. Like the people on here that are criticizing this, the people on here that are criticizing this article from Ralph Richard Banks are out of their minds if they really think that a large number of Black women should be competing for a small number of Black men. Where does that make sense? And why would you even want that? If you really want Black women to find the best, they should be including other groups of men because those other groups of men outnumber Black women. I'm sorry, yes, they do outnumber Black women, but they especially outnumber Black men. I'm just saying. Oh, hey, Mocha Mommy.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
what are your thoughts? Sorry, I was on the other tab. I didn't even see.
No, I'm really glad you're doing this.
So what are your thoughts on everything so far?
Well, I think it's not about what Black men are not. It's really about who you are as a Black woman. And it's just, I think that they have a lot of things that they have to deal with, and I think it's not our place to try to fix their problems. And I think that that's why so many Black women are so reluctant, because we think it's our job. You know what I mean? That's why they're so reluctant to date out. And, like he was saying about shouldering the burden. And I think that a lot of Ralph Richard Banks research. I think it was kind of driven by like concern, probably for the women he mentors, probably for his daughters, probably for, I mean, he's not at like predominantly Black institutions, right? So he probably also has non-Black men that he's mentoring and, you know, teaching as well, who probably have expressed the same thing. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel as if I know you have like a comment like from, I guess, like a hater here in your section, but I think if you're around other groups of people more often, they
I
notice the same
do?
things. Yeah, I, I,
Oh
I
God.
think I think when you're around them, they're always asking about us as a demographic, right? They're always asking about us,
Yeah.
you know. And it's really funny because I said I wasn't going to participate much on YouTube because I'm like watching the game right now. Like, I'm a huge baseball fan, always have been my whole
Mhm.
life, and other people are watching our space because
Mm.
I only have 2,000 subscribers, but yet MLB Network reached out to me to sit out on a focus group for their network, right? Because they're trying to expand the
Wow.
demographic. Yeah. So, and because I had been just tagging a bunch of their stuff in my comment section, and
Mhm.
it was so crazy because we're sitting in this focus group in this Zoom, and I'm not sitting in as my YouTube self. I'm using my real name, and they said the Chicago Cubs, like the one of the oldest baseball teams in the country, had asked specifically, so who's the social media influencer who called our shortstop a thirst trap? And I'm like, oh,
What?
so he watched my video. He watched my video.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So he watched
That's
my
amazing.
Yeah, so he watched my video and he was like, I was like, well, he wasn't going to Bible study with those pictures. Close the door.
Right. See, that's amazing. And that's what I love about things like this coming
Yeah.
out. They can be seen, and even, Black women creating their spaces, our spaces can be heard from anyone, anywhere. I have had non-Black men contact me and ask me for more resources on how to just better allies for Black women. And there's all types of non-Black men, like on all different kinds of forums, talking about how they see the vitriol that a lot of Black men have for Black women, and they're disgusted by it. There's plenty of non-Black women that are also not even trying to date Black men because of it, because they believe that if you have so much, disgust for your own group of women, why would I think you can treat me good? And if you do treat me good, well, it's only because I'm not one of them, not because of who I am. And those women don't want they don't want a love life like that.
They don't want that drama. Yeah. And I
Right.
think too, they know what's going on. And I think, you know, like why we're so, I've done like videos about it, like why are we so insular? Why are we not going to certain spaces? Are we not
Mhm.
like recognizing like cultural cues and things like that? And I think that and even so, like certain books, certain producers of television shows, you see they're kind of picking things up. And of course, with things like AWS and all these things that give us real time market research, like
Yeah.
everybody's like watching what we're doing. And I think that's why you can have shows like The Courtship that start with a Black female lead. That's how you can have,
Mhm.
you know, books written by Black women like make the National Times bestseller list. And that's why you see us in commercials for things, because it's real time data now. They can see what we're doing. And, that's why you can have, banks more interested in partnering um, and giving us business lending. And so I think because that information is in real time now. So everybody sees us, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't know. And people have always been very, very curious as to why we're so insular or why we're so, you know,
Yeah,
just
it's a big curiosity. I mean, so much so to the point where researchers are trying to figure it out now. And they're trying to literally put out proof that you being this way, you sticking to this community is literally going to ruin your life. Basically, for a lot of women, it's going to ruin you, and or you are missing out on so much that is going to help you become a better woman, because you won't branch out, because you won't go into certain spaces, because you won't open up your set of interests and your skills, because you won't try to expand. And the more Black women just not expand, the more you're on a trajectory that's kind of downhill, because you're limiting yourself. I mean, take Black men out of the picture, honestly, because if you just limit yourself, period, that's not going to get you anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere staying in a small circle. You have to get out there.
Yeah, and people like wonder that like a lot about us, like why we're so insular, or why we put up with what we put up with. And and notice how this is kind of like measures of success, just like with collegiate education. And notice how with the drop in male enrollment of the majority culture, notice how they're handling it, right? Notice how they're handling it and letting them know, like, you guys are going to die alone, not us. They're not telling their women that, unless
Yeah.
of course the fringe spaces are. But like for the most part, like their major periodicals is letting them know, like, hey, you're lagging behind as a man. You're not starting a family as a man. Even talking about things like population collapse. That's another big issue right now. You see the
Mm-hmm.
majority culture kind of talking about, and that's just a 10% decline from 2019. You know what I mean? Like that's just like a 10% decline. Like it's like 60-40. So 60-40, the majority culture is freaking out. Like a
Yeah.
60-40 split. But yet it's been a steady decline since 1978, since the crack epidemic in our culture. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So you'll notice like certain communities have done things to, like you'll see like a lot of alternative certifications and degrees for working adults. And you'll see, that a lot more introduction of skilled trades. You see things like the Dreamers
Mm-hmm.
Act, and you'll see things like increased education for military service. You'll see all these things to kind of get men back on track. But then even alternative like business strategies or whatever, you'll see that being marketed. But it's like, unfortunately, even so, African American men are not participating. And that doesn't bring me any joy. Like it doesn't. I remember being like an instructor 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, I was a clinical instructor for allied health professionals. And just here in Austin, where we had like the sixth fastest growing economy in the nation, like Austin was booming. But you'll create a Black woman with an associate's degree, and she's already out earning close to 70% of the Black men in that zip code.
Mm.
That's deep. Like that's
Yeah.
deep. Like with an associate's degree, like you're talking 24 months. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like you're not even talking about a 4-year degree. Like you're talking about somebody who's like a clinical lab tech or a nurse, and you're out earning close to 70. And this is a city that's economic opportunities pretty much abound. And that's sad. Like that's really sad to me, because we know that most Black women are going to prefer Black men, but how do you create a family with that? You know what I mean? How do
Exactly.
you know what I mean? And you see so many Black women being held back because they're the primary breadwinner and still the primary caretaker. And that limits their opportunities to grow personally or professionally. How many Black women missed out on so many opportunities through this whole, I guess, pandemic, because their husband couldn't handle the household responsibility, or can't shoulder the burden of them not working overtime for them to go from associates to bachelors and earn that extra money and get that promotion, or just what I mean. It's a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Um Yeah, I think Bridget said stresses out Black women. Yeah, I think Black women being stressed out, that keeps them from understanding and pursuing those other options or the idea of those other options.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so,
yeah,
Mocha.
thank you for letting me come up, and thank you so much for all that you do with your platform.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. If you guys have not subscribed to Mocha Mommy, make sure you do so. She has an amazing channel and she drops some serious gems on her channel, like serious gems. So make sure you subscribe to her. The Manosphere vitriol will hopefully light a fire under more women to pack up and leave the worship in our rear view mirrors. Yeah. I mean, look, I already did a live on incels and how the Secret Service put out a report suggesting that local uh, police forces and whatever come up with behavioral programs for men who just go out and commit violence against women or just violence period, like for no real reason, so mass shootings and stuff like that. They are suggesting that men who get caught up in this space, manosphere or MGTOW, have to enroll into some kind of behavioral program, and that of men who commit these crimes, they are going to investigate their social media. And I know, these men love to be on here. We all love to be on here, right? With our cartoon icons and stuff like that. That's fine. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the government, they gonna find you, okay? They gonna find you. All right? Like they will find who you are. They can have your IP address. Can't hide nothing. Everything that we use is tracked. All right. Everything that they use is tracked. So if you feel some type of way about anything online, you better be able to keep that same energy in real life. Because if these men get got and get sought after by the government, they're getting blacklisted. Like they're getting listed down as a threat, literally as a threat. So, it is what it is on that one. But I also saw another content creator, Black female content creator, and she posted something to ask other Black women if she should keep up the crazy comments from Black men or if she should delete them. And a lot of Black women said that she should keep them up because that is evidence for the FBI and the CIA to use to, put these men on blast. And I agree. Like the trolls and stuff are annoying, but to be honest, let them expose themselves because they can say whatever they want on here. Because at the end of the day, it is going to be tracked. And this isn't just for men who commit a crime. Like this is also for men who want to have jobs. They can investigate your social media. I think in that same live, I told you guys about a friend that I have, and a Black man was in the training to be a federal agent, and he got kicked out of the training because they investigated his social media and he had a bunch of anti-white like posts and comments on his name, on his phone, on his IP address for his computer. Like, I don't know how they found a lot of the stuff they found, but shoot, they found it and it was linked back to him and they kicked him out. A federal agency, y'all. Like, I think he was trying out to be in the FBI or something like that. They can find you. And he got kicked out. So honestly, let them, they gonna post what they want to post. It is what it is. They'll get discovered, they'll get tracked down, and they'll be listed as a threat. As a threat. That was what that whole entire report is about. And it's just interesting because there's no report about that for people who follow like Cynthia G or, a divested zealot. Like there is nothing like that for women. It's all on men. Because I said in that live that men are the ones who are aggressive, much more so than women. So, it's natural for when a man is getting aggressive for him to get physical than for a woman. Women can get on here and talk that talk all day, but women aren't going to go out and shoot up a school full of children and other women. That's not happening. They're not going to go into a barbershop and shoot up all the black men either. That doesn't happen. So it is what it is. Um, but I highlighted this part. I hope you ladies read it. There are big differences here by race. White women with an undergraduate degree are almost as likely to be married today as in 1960, but marriage rates are declining for Black women across the educational spectrum. A Black woman with an undergraduate degree, aged between 35 and 45, is 15 percentage points less likely to be married than a white woman without an undergraduate degree. So, in this part of the conversation, this is where the critics are going to say things like, um, Black women just aren't desirable. These men want their own woman and yada yada, which can be true. At least the last part. Yeah, everyone majority of the time dates within their own group, but to flat out say that the reason for this is because white women are just more desirable than Black women, I think is actually false. The real reason, and there is data to prove this as well, is that Black women just don't date out as much to even create those numbers that can equal to white women's marriage rates. So, and here's another study. Calls for Black women. Let me see. Here's another study that I found. Like literally, I was just browsing and found this study. It's been noted. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to make sure I find the right part of this study. 6. Okay. So this study I found on my own. I'm sure other people may know about it, but I just so happened to come across this on my own time. So this paragraph calls for Black American women to date or marry whites and other non-Black men. So let me take you guys to the title. I don't want to lose this spot. It's page 6. Okay. So the title of this study, it was done in 2012, or at least published in 2012. Black Americans and Interracial Marriage, a Focus on Black Women. This paper claims that although there has been a significant increase in the number of scholarly publications on interracial marriages in the United States in recent decades, most of these publications tend to focus on the small but visible increase in marriages, cohabitations, and dating, how whites and European Gentile Americans are gradually becoming accepting of these relationships, the factors that are causing non-Blacks to quote unquote reject Blacks, and specifically factors that are causing white men and other non-Black men to quote unquote reject Black women. As a result, the paper attempts to contribute to this topic by focusing on an important phenomenon that it could actually be Black women who are turning down non-Black men. The paper presents 8 factors that may be causing Black women to turn down interracial romantic relationship requests from non-Black men. Guys, this entire paper and study, it literally gives you reasons as to why Black women don't date out as much, that do not have to do with the fact that Black women are just undesirable and ugly to non-Black men. This paper is going to tell you that is actually the other way around. There's actually a significant number of Black women who find non Black men ugly and undesirable. And that is the reason as to why they don't date non Black men, which is why all of this media and this promotion and this attention, the things we're seeing on TV, commercials of non Black men and Black women together, that is why there's so much promotion of this, because it's being researched that Black women are the ones turning down these men and just not opening themselves up to men who aren't Black, which in turn affects the marriage rates of Black women, because our men aren't getting married really to anyone as much as other men are. And so, since Black women are limiting their choices only to Black men, the least married group of men in the nation, that is a good, probably a more like a most important reason as to why Black women are the least married. Newsflash. Newsflash. You are so far gone in your fantasy. What fantasy is this? These are studies, data, and stats. This isn't my fantasy. These are people with whole PhDs researching the reasons as to why Black women are not dating out as much. This paper is trying to disprove to you the reasons people think, which is that white men and other races of men just don't desire Black women for whatever reason. This paper is giving you 8 reasons as to why it's actually the other way around. And on page 6, yeah, I don't know who this Kobe person is, but it's fine. Like, they're not ever going to believe it, no matter how many studies and how many stats and data you literally put in front of them. They don't want to believe that Black women are desirable at a mass scale to other races of men. They don't want to believe it. It keeps them happy and secure to know that there are, people, that there's a group of people that are less than, and they want to continue to think that that group of people are Black women. And we're actually not. We're not. Teresa said, so funny. That Black woman already knew this, but nobody bothered to ask how many overtures of non-Black men have we all turned down and over. Right, Teresa, exactly. That's what the research is saying, that there's actually plenty of men out here that want you and have been wanting Black women, but it is Black women who have been rejecting. It was Black women who are closing themselves off. This myth that we're just not desired and we're just hideously ugly to all groups of men and we better be lucky a Black man chooses us is the biggest lie anyone could shoot out of their tail ever. Ever. Like, this is the reason for the great Black male meltdown that I'm sure many of us witnessed with Black men critiquing this article. And on Twitter, it's really bad. On Twitter, it's really bad, y'all, the things they had to say about this article. I mean, like, just how many Black men are so offended by the New York Post. It's horrible. So it says here, as a result of all the examples presented above, there are calls from the media, academia, and some Black women who are already in interracial marriages for Black women in general in the United States, especially Native born, to start dating and marrying white men and other non-Black men. And a review of the book is Marriage for White People by Ralph Banks, Bernard writes, "What to do about the Black family is a dilemma that has preoccupied sociologists, psychologists, journalists, screenwriters, novelists, and ordinary people for decades. Few have unreservedly advocated the refreshing solution Banks offers, interracial marriage, while Black men have long felt free to choose white mates," he notes. "Black women are more segregated and intimate marketplace than any group in American society." Ugh. It has been noted that interracial marriages between blacks last longer than black and black marriages. According to the study of Jones in 2010, in this sample, there are a lower number of interracial marriages that end in divorce compared to white only and black only marriages. Specifically, 25.1% of interracial marriages ended in divorce, compared to 30.9% of white only marriages and 37.2% of black only marriages. According to the study of Wong in 2003, Black American men who intermarry had less difficulty in staying married than their counterparts who intramarried. The mean duration is 8.667 years for intermarried Black men and 8.357 years for their intermarried cohorts. Wong 2003 adds that the percentage of the interrupted marriages spell for the intermarried families exceeded that for the intermarried by 16.2%. In addition, due to their increasing gains in higher education and entrance into high-paying professions, Black American women also find it difficult to marry Black men of similar social status. Also, up to 1 million Black males are in prison or under the control of the criminal justice system and in military overseas, where they tend to meet non-Black women. Williams points out that in 2000, there were 791,600 Black males incarcerated in American jails and prisons. As of 2000, there are 272,818 African Americans in uniform in the US military, with males accounting for over 200,000. So, what are you guys saying? So, this study is very, very interesting. A 24-year-old Black woman who is a native of Memphis, Tennessee, saying that your soulmate may not be what you expect. He may not be this tall, bald, chocolate-covered brother. He may be this beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed man or this beautiful yellow man. He can be Asian, Spanish, Arabian, anything. You never know who you're going to fall in love with or who is going to love you the way you need to be loved. So why wait on a Black man? Ciao. Oh my God. Oh God. Wow. Another writer said back in 2003, if Black women are going to have partners, they're going to have to look at Italian men, Latino men, men of other ethnic groups. Black women have to open doors. They have to give themselves more options. Wow. Whew. This, you guys need to read this. Why do Black American women turn down courtship requests from non-Black men? I haven't even read the whole thing either, guys. And I don't know if this study was referenced in the article or in Ralph Richard Banks' book. Probably not, actually. This study was published in 2012, and that book is from like 2011. So it's probably not in there. Um, Okay, so let me read this part. Why do Black American women turn down courtship requests from non Black men? An interesting observation of the tiny fraction of Black women who marry white men in the United States is that a significant number of those Black women actually marry foreign born white European men and Jewish men. Also, a significant number of foreign born Black women tend to marry white men in the United States. Black men, however, tend to marry native born white American women when compared with Black women. For example, according to research by Creedy and Sands in 1997, 67% of Black husbands who marry outside their race married an Anglo, compared with 51% of Black wives. Research findings by Modell and Fisher show that more West Indian Black females who arrived in the United States as children and native born West Indian females are more likely than African American females to be in a romantic relationship with a white male. Hmm, that is interesting. So what they just said is that African women marry out more than American Black women do. I'm not even gonna lie, I have kind of noticed that like way before I got on YouTube and all these spaces. There are a lot of African women that marry out. I know we said earlier that Africans marry each other, and they do. Um, but when I have looked at Black women marrying out, I have found a lot of African women that do so when, they decide to do it. So this is a article I found on my own that just tries to prove that it's actually Black women who are rejecting um, non-Black men in dating. And a lot of the other reasons have to do with like a lot of Black women still holding on to like slavery and things like that and the history. And they use that as a reason as to why they reject non-Black men. So, kind of things we've already heard before that a lot of Black women still believe. Um, okay, so I'll read this here as another reason as to why Black American women turn down courtship requests from non Black men. One writer says they view interracial relationships as too complicated, Black women, and see partnering with Black men as an expression of a larger commitment to the race itself. Often, Black women aren't as attracted to men of other races as they are to Black men. So, it uses more evidence, to prove that Black women are just not attracted to non-Black men, that they have this commitment to the race, which are, legitimate, valid reasons that a lot of Black women have. But Ralph Richard Banks and all these other publications and research are literally trying to tell Black women that your commitment to race alone is not enough to sustain a long lasting relationship and marriage. It's not. It's not enough. According to the study of Robnet and Feliciano, whatever, in 2011, I cannot pronounce these names, on the preferences of various racial and cultural groups in the United States on their selection of potential mates on an internet dating website, 76.5% of Black women, 567 of them, exclude white men. 92% of them exclude Asian men. 63% of them exclude Latino men. Also, 45% of Black women said they prefer their own race. Wow. For Black men, however, 401, 11.5% of them exclude their own race, and 23% prefer their own race. 71% exclude white women, 71% exclude Asian women, and 39% exclude Latino women. Wow. So that's a lot. So on dating apps, Black women are overwhelmingly rejecting other races of men. Dang, especially Asians. Oof. So, this is like a lot of data to prove that the dating and marrying out rates for Black women are particularly low because they just choose to not date out. And it's not so much to do with the fact or with the lie that Black women are just not desirable by these men. It's the other way around. It's the other way around. That Black women are dating more so for, the race and putting the race first, rejecting other races of men, which is the real reason why Black women aren't married as much, which is the reason why they're having to settle for Black men that aren't quality. So that means that they're going to end up divorcing. And that study literally literally said that when, you know, Black women marry out, they do better compared to with a Black man. That is quite interesting. But, hey, it's what it is. What are you guys saying? So, what did you guys think of that? Done with the slavery talk. We must, child, I am so over it. I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm tired of talking about slavery and how, or just hearing that slavery is the reason why you don't want to date out. I'm tired of hearing that. That is such a that is the craziest excuse I've ever heard. Completely crazy. At this stage, I prefer a foreign born white man of any nationality. If you're going to be a different culture, you better show up with an accent, fly fashion, and down. You know what? I have had amazing experiences with men from other countries. The Middle Eastern man I dated was amazing. My current man now, he's Russian. So I don't know what it is about foreign men, but they're like a different breed. They're highly recommend. I highly recommend. Uh, Black women still use that slavery thing also to manipulate Black women to stay away from it. Yes. And literally in the Dr. Umar video, that was all he talked about was slavery. That's all he had to talk about. Like, kept using the ancestors and a bunch of just a bunch of crap. It was ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. So incredibly stupid. It's stupid at this point to say it's about racism. I'm tired of that too. Yes. I'm over it. I am over it. Like, of course I believe racism and all that stuff exists. But guys, if a man who's not Black is trying to date you, compliment you, talk to you, it's a good chance he's most likely not a racist or even a white supremacist. All right. It's also a good chance that this country in general is not navigating actively off of white supremacy, considering the fact that a biracial Black, phenotypically Black looking president was elected twice in a row. Like, how can all of those things happen and everyone is a damn racist and a white supremacist? Really? Really? Make that make sense. I'm just over it. Mocha Mama says, fear every group of women choose the best option, but fear governs so many of our choices. Yeah, absolutely. Way too much. Way too much fear governs Black women. And I believe the fear is so prevalent because so many Black women are just not used to being around certain groups of men. They just don't feel comfortable. So many Black women have just not opened up their options. So, you know, start doing something new is scary, especially with all this pushback that they're hearing from it, from families, how their families won't approve. It's a scary thing for a lot of Black women. Black women haven't dated out by choice for sure. Now we're making better choices. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad this article came out overall. Of course, I 100% believe everything it says. I said earlier in the live that the only two critiques I'd have was that I wish it just said why more Black women should consider marrying out or marrying other races of men. Centering white men is like, come on, like there's other races of men out there that are also interested in Black women. And my second critique was that I just hope this doesn't attract the wrong type of attention towards Black women, but it also brings the right type of attention, which is that Black women are um, dedicated to making better choices and that the world knows that Black women are interested in things that not everyone else really would think we'd be interested in. So I think that's most important. Yep, when you know better, you do better. Absolutely. Absolutely. My spouse and I just have so much in common. It's been 2 decades and we still enjoy each other's company. Follow your passions and passion will follow you. Absolutely. Absolutely agree with this. Let go of the fear, cling on to the passion, cling on to what makes you feel good. And, you know, you will find what you're looking for and you will find what's meant for you without a shadow of a doubt. It's just natural, but you've got to let go of the limitations, you've got to let go of the fear, and you've got to welcome in all of the opportunity. And I believe this article is going to welcome in, or it's going to literally bring a lot of opportunity for Black women. It's going to bring a lot of opportunity for Black women. So, all right, ladies. Well, I wanted to come on and show you guys these things. If you are watching the replay, let me know your thoughts on this below. I'm really happy about stuff like this. I hope more healthy and good promotion comes out of Black women dating out and just overall more facts, more data to actually back up all these claims, because a lot of people have to think that Black women are just crazy talking that talk, but no, this is all rooted in data, statistics, research. Okay, nothing about what's going on here is a crazy thing or an emotional outburst for Black women everywhere. No, this is real. These are facts. Okay, so like the video if you haven't already, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss it when I go live, and I will talk to you ladies in the next one.